Day to you.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Delhi Township Board of Trustees meeting for October 30th, 2019. We will begin this evening first with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Tonight's moment of silence is to commemorate the upcoming Veterans Day celebration that we have right here in front of our administration building on Sunday, November the 10th. So let's pray for the health and the safety of all those currently serving. We acknowledge our gratitude for all of our Delhi veterans for their continued service to this community, and we pray for those souls who paid the ultimate price of freedom is not free. Thank you, and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, we'll begin the meeting with the approval of the minutes. Mr. Luby?
Motion to approve the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting held on October 9th, 2019, and dispense with the reading.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion carries.
Motion to approve bills for payment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion to approve the payment of overtime for pay periods ending October 8th and the 22nd, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion carries. Report from our fiscal officer, Mr. Luby.
Resolution 2019-173, resolution approving purchase order obligations incurred on behalf of the township by the township administrator, authorizing payment of certain purchase order obligations and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution carries.
Resolution 2019-174, resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission, authorizing the necessary tax levies, certifying them to the county auditor, and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution approved.
As far as significant transactions since our last meeting, on 10/23, as far as cash receipts, we did receive $20,000 for the permissive motor vehicle license tax, $23,000 from the local government fund, $31,000 for gasoline tax, and $45,000 for the cable franchise fee. As far as disbursements, on 10/17, our payroll was $281,000. And then we did also close on the Remke property. I'm just going to give you a little extra details on that. So our original purchase price for the property was $2,875,000. We did some various surveys and some title fees totaling $13,275 for a total cost of $2,888,275. But we also did have some credits totaling $131,000. So we had a credit for the property taxes that the seller paid of $114,000, and we had around $15,000 in rent credits. So our total that we actually paid at the time of closing was $2,757,139. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Luby. Trustees' correspondence, Trustee Davis.
Just a few last night, which, as you're watching this at home and when you are viewing it, would have been the 29th. Maybe you saw some extra ghosts and goblins in the area. Big shout out to Mount St. Joseph University, who had their Halloween haunt going on, and also Bailey had theirs going on, and they were literally packed, I think, as Rose and I got to experience.
Yes.
Ton of cars, ton of energy, just great times, and There were families everywhere, which was just so great to see here in the township, everyone coming out. So congratulations on 2 well-run events there for Bailey and for Mount St. Joseph University. A shout out also to John Ludwig. Some of you knew John from St. Dominic Parish. He was a longtime volunteer, van driver and everything at Bailey. He passed suddenly at age 70. His funeral will be on Monday. So keeping his family in our prayers, and anyone knew John, as they say, if he met you once, you were a friend for life. So we will miss John Ludwig. And that being said, also don't forget this coming Tuesday is Election Day. Please, please, please get out and vote, 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. this coming Tuesday. So exercise that gift.
Thank you, Trustee Davis. Trustee Sturts?
No, Trustee Davis covered it.
Okay. I'd also like to thank C.O. Harrison because I got to participate as a judge for the trunk or treat, and it was a great evening. And thank you everyone that was there, and I think all the kids that were there, all the students had a great evening. And along that theme of great evenings, I want to thank everyone in the community for the past 2 nights for your participation in our community involvement meetings involving the Remke property. I don't think we could have asked for a more dignified, respectful group of both nights, and both nights were completely at capacity for the lodge. Your ideas were tremendous, your thoughts. You've actually put a lot of thinking into what you would want to do with this property. All that's going to be summarized and put back to you in a report. In fact, we'll have community engagement meetings again for that. So I just want to say thank you, and I was so proud of everyone who was there. It was just a tremendous 2 nights of input and ideas. Thanks so much, and that's from all of us on this board as well as our administration. We just, it was our community at its best. Thank you so much. Okay, special presentation. Chief Campbell, are you going to start this, or who's going to start this?
Eric?
Oh,
Hi, I'm Eric, for those who don't know me.
yes, I do.
In 1954, the MDA and the IAFF formed an alliance to raise money for both research in finding a cure for muscular dystrophy and to assist families with members who have been diagnosed with MD. On October 4th and 5th, our firefighters went out what is termed a Fill the Boot campaign. The firefighters stood on a couple street corners and asked our community to fill the boot. In a little over 3.5 hours in those 2 days in our community, people were generous and they placed money in those boots that we held out. While there were signs stating what we were collecting for, most stated they didn't care what we were raising money for and that they just loved their firefighters. We appreciate the kind of support. Before all was said and done, we had raised a total of $4,572. That is the kind of people we have living in our community. We as a fire department want to say thank you for all who gave. We have a couple families who live in our community who have children with muscular dystrophy. They, along with our contact from the MDA, are here tonight to receive a check for that donation and to be introduced to the community as a whole. Deneen Wolber with the MDA is here, and I will let her do the introductions of the family. Then we will present the check.
Thank you,
Deneen,
Aaron.
would you like to introduce them?
Yes, thank you so much. We just want to say thanks.
Deneen, can you?
Want me to talk in a bit?
Yeah, oh yeah. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to say thank you so much. I know I'm on my toes. Our partnership with the fire department's national partnership is for 65 years partnership with Fill the Boot. Back in the day, they wanted to keep filling the boot until the firefighters find a cure. So we have 2 wonderful families here today. We have the Rogers family and the Stratton family, and then we have Beverly from our office. So I'll have them all come up. Whoever wants to come up, because I know each family wants to talk about, their family. Let's have the Roger family come up first. Come on up, Josh.
We want to thank all of Delhi and all the firefighters for all you guys have done for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. This is a new thing for us. We just got a diagnosis in the last 3 months, so it's a bit of a struggle going through it. It's something that there's no cure for, So we're on research studies and research drugs until they find a cure. So any money going towards those researches or pharmaceuticals is a good thing because it is going towards a cure. So we thank you guys for all the generous donations from the Township of Delhi and everyone who came through, and we thank you trustees for all you've done.
Thank you.
And this is Josh.
Hi, Josh.
He's the guy who got Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Okay.
Bless
Thank
you.
you.
Yes.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
The other family I would like to introduce are the Stratton family.
Hello. Thanks for having us. This is a great opportunity for us to kind of introduce Mary to everybody.
Hi, Mary.
She has Bethlehem myopathy, one of the many forms of muscular dystrophy. She can still walk, but sometimes she uses a wheelchair to kind of help her if she's going long distances in school and stuff like that. So it kind of helps keep her strength throughout the day because she can get weak throughout the day. But we've done several things with the fire departments, not only just in Delhi, but in other fire departments across the city here. So it's wonderful that they have this campaign, and it helps us out tremendously, not just on a local level, but nationwide, as Deneen said too. And it's just a great program. We thank you guys tremendously for this, and as well as the trustees as well for allowing them to do this in the townships. So it's a tremendous benefit for many families across the city and the country too. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing your stories with us. It makes your donation so relevant when you see those patients and those young people who are actually benefiting from your donation. So thank you so much, both of the families, for sharing your stories. And thank you, Delhi community, for your generosity. And thank you to the fire department for leading up Fill the Boot. I believe we have a check presentation, Eric.
Yep. She wants to talk.
Oh, hi, Beverly.
Hi, my name is Beverly. I'm one of the care specialists here in Cincinnati.
Okay.
My role is basically to go into our clinics and meet these families. So actually, I met Josh and his family right before they got confirmation of diagnosis. And I went in and I let them know that everything MDA can assist them with and that I would be standing right there with them. And then, our summer camp, I'm also a summer camp director, so this money helps fund our summer camps. So you guys make our jobs a whole lot easier to bring so much fun and joy to these kids.
There's a special name for your summer camp, isn't there? It's somebody had told me something about a summer camp for MDA.
It's at Camp Campbell.
That's it.
It's a week-long summer camp. We have about 70 to 80 kids that come, so we raise money to send because it's free to the families.
And part of this goes to send those children to the camp?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you for also sharing your story and for your dedication to this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric, you want to present your check?
So we'll present this check to the MDA.
All right, perfect. And we'd love to
I think our fire guys would like to join you.
take a picture. Here, I'm just.
Kids up here.
And I'm going to give you permission to probably, Mr. Cameron, do you want them in here or in the lobby?
Yeah, maybe they'd be a backdrop.
Okay, all right.
Back and then the family. I tried to talk right this, you wouldn't do it. Okay, Aaron, can you stand up a little taller, please? No.
I duck. Cool.
That you're going to show now? Okay, when would you like to do that?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bless all of you. God, that makes my heart just.
Are we on? It is just so gratifying to have an evening like this tonight that is just filled with pride. I mean, we were proud of the last 2 nights with the community input meetings. We've just presented a check from the fire department to MDA. We're all wearing our fire shirts that support breast cancer. This is really what our community, Delhi Township, is about and who we are. And I just couldn't be more proud, and thank you everyone for everything that you've done to make the pride just bubble like it does tonight. Thank you. All right, we'll get back to regular business, and we'll begin with the police department. Chief Howarth. Resolution?
Resolution 2019-175, resolution authorizing the purchase of shotguns for the police department, declaring certain weapons unfit for the public use, and authorizing the trade-in thereof to the vendor with the trade-in value credited against the purchase price, and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Chief?
No, not really. We've replaced the majority of them except 3 of them. Now we're trading in all the old ones, and that'll get us the last 3 that we need.
Okay, good.
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Public Works, Mr. Ripperger? Resolution, Mr. Luby?
Resolution 2019-176, resolution entering into an agreement with the Board of County Commissioners, Hamilton County, Ohio, the county, and the Board of Education of the Oak Hills School District, Oak Hills, to share equitable in the rental expenses for a rubber tire loader at Delhi Salt Storage Dome, authorizing the Director of Public Works to execute the agreement and dispensing with a second reading.
Introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Thank you, trustees. This is something we've done for about 10 years. It's a great way to work together with Oak Hills and Hamilton County to kind of split the cost and save some money.
Great, thank you.
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2019-177, resolution establishing just and equitable service charges during the 6-month period from November 1st, 2019 through April 30th, 2020, in connection with removal of snow and ice from the undedicated roads of Greenside Estates, and directing notice to the owner and certification of the charges to the county auditor in accordance with revised code 505.82, declaring an emergency and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
This is also something we've done in the past, and we follow the Ohio Revised Code, and it works out good.
Great, thank you.
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Fire Department, Chief Campbell.
Motion to accept the grant awarding the Delhi Fire Department $12,833.33 from the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation for personnel protective equipment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Motion carries. Chief, did you have anything to add to that?
I just wanted to elaborate on this is the second grant that we received this year from the Bureau of Workers' Comp. This one is specifically going to allow us to replace all our structural firefighting gloves and to adopt for the first time ever in the township barrier hoods, which will essentially protect the firefighters from carcinogens and things like that being absorbed through the skin neck area. So technology we wouldn't normally be able to take advantage of. The Bureau of Workers' Comp has allowed us to make that mass purchase, so everybody will be equipped by the end of the year with the new equipment.
Great. All right, thank you. Parks and Recreation, I have nothing on the agenda for you this evening, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hesitated.
You hesitated, is you rethinking that?
10:30, Mr. Torbeck doesn't offer anything.
Parks and Rec Director, Mr. Torbeck.
I just wanted to thank everybody that came out to the Harvest Hootenanny. We had close to 1,000 people come out, and it's been a great event, second year for it, so we look forward to many years of hosting it again. It's only as good as the people that show up, and it's been a blast, so thank you to the public.
A lot of people carried out pumpkins.
Yes, it was well
A
organized.
lot of people carried out pumpkins.
It was very well organized.
Yes. Great day. All right, administration. Resolution?
Resolution 2019-178, resolution authorizing renewal of the township's property and casualty insurance through the Ohio Plan Risk Management, Inc., authorizing the township administrator to execute and deliver necessary documents, declaring an emergency, and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. Cameron?
This is renewal of our liability insurance, happens each year, so.
Okay.
This is my Halloween picture as well. This happens to be after the Harvest Hootenanny, so.
There you go.
It's the only one picture I had of a Halloween.
A great day.
She's emulating Mr. DeLong.
Move to dispense.
Right now, in his
When he
pumpkin
wears his
outfit.
pumpkin shirt.
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Mr. Cameron, did you want to share with us some thoughts from the last couple nights?
I did. I won't try and restate some of the things you said, but it was 2 nights where we had same structure for 2 different nights. We had Mr. Jeff Steck facilitate a conversation. It went very well. I think most everybody, I didn't see anybody leave that was disappointed or upset or aggravated. They may have disagreed with some of the direction or thoughts, and so they had a chance to do that. So we held 2 conversations about what draft thoughts we have for the Remke site. We are planning to have a few more to more targeted audiences, as well as we've asked people that couldn't make it or we had to close off accepting reservations, and if we can do more sessions, there's no issue there if we have people that couldn't attend one of those 2 nights, because that's understandable. The follow-up to those sessions is taking what we got and now refining it more, because the finance piece of things was a big question that we still need to drill into ourselves and then come back and have a conversation with that information in hand. So there will be a second session. Those that gave us their information, we'll be able to reach out to and say, here's a follow-up time, et cetera. So they went very well.
And that was from the list that they filled out with their email address.
Yeah, we have, we had emails as well when you signed up, so we'll probably just merge those and keep a list of interested persons to inform.
If someone wasn't able to attend either one, are they able to call and give their email address to be on the follow-up mailing?
Yeah, certainly. We would love to go out to them with the first round of meetings so they have a backdrop of what's happening at the second one. But sure, the idea is to get as much input and citizen participation as possible. So at the end of the day, when we move in a direction, everybody feels like they had a chance to input And, you know, they've got some ownership in the product, and we get what the community would like to see.
I thought it was interesting, too, that our facilitator, Mr. Steck, was really pleased with the turnout and the participation level that he experienced both nights.
Jeff, when I told him we had, so structurally, it was tables of 8, and the room only holds so many tables. So we had to stop taking reservations, partly because we wanted walk-ins to not be turned away, but we filled the room on Monday, and I should have done a head count. I'm estimating we had 100 people there, and we can fit, you know, maybe 104. Now, there was supporting cast, yourselves, myself, other folks from the administration and design team. And Tuesday, we probably had somewhere in the 80s. It wasn't as many as Monday, but he said when he facilitates this type of thing, it's kind of customary that you might get 40 people. So we had 2 nights of almost 100 people, and that's good. Now, this is a pretty interesting thing. You know, we bought a piece of property, and we're talking about what do we do with that? So that's a little more, elicits a different reaction than come talk about a planning study. But I think that also bears out how much our people are interested, invested in Delhi Township.
I do, too. All right. Continuing, community development, Mr. DeLong. Resolution, please, Mr. Luby.
Resolution 2019-179, resolution certifying violation abatement at 564 Orchard View Lane to the county auditor for assessment, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. DeLong?
Sure, I'll just make a quick discussion on Resolution 179 through 185. These are the assessments, so the work has been completed on abating these properties from anything from excessive vegetation to debris. So these assessments collect the fees that were to cover the cost for cleaning up these properties. So they range from $414 to $1,135, which will be filed with the county auditor for next year's taxes.
Yes, and to add pain to that, I added up how much it would be and also realized that of all that you're about to hear, there's only 2 that are not repeat offenders. So, you know, we're going to keep issuing abatement against and a lien against the house, correct? Yes. All right. All right, then, the resolution.
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2019-180, resolution certifying violation abatement at 945 Beach Meadow Lane to the county auditor for assessment, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution, sorry.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2019-181, resolution certifying violation abatement at 4230 Champdale Lane to the county auditor for assessment, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes. Mr.
Yes.
Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2019-182, resolution certifying violation abatement at 4498 St. Dominic Drive to the county auditor for assessment, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2019-183, resolution certifying violation abatement at 4872 Mount Vernon Road to the county auditor for assessment, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Question, please. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Are you going to the next one, or?
Is your question on this one or the next
On
one?
this one, before you
Okay,
hit the
go.
next one. Is that still privately owned, or does the bank own that one on
It's
4872?
still privately owned.
Wow. Okay, they're going to love
Very
that.
few of these are actually bank-owned.
Yeah, good.
I think I only found maybe one.
Yeah, it's very few.
What was interesting was only 2 are new violators.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of these you've seen twice this year,
Yes.
not from past years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there, and not to go into it, I don't want dialogue on it now, but does the law allow if you had this up there at 4954 and you had the owner's name listed right there, or is that not allowed? I'm just curious.
I will look to our law director on whether we want to publicize that.
It's a matter of public record, so, I mean, it would be on the auditors. Anybody can go look it up and find out who is on
Somebody
the
would have
auditor,
to
yeah.
see that,
Right,
or your neighbor says, hey, I saw your name at the,
right.
yeah. And I know that there are hardships in families. I'm not saying that, there really are. I get it. But as simple as cutting grass and things like that, getting your trash out, I don't understand
Removing
that.
debris.
Yeah, and what you do to your neighbors and to all those around you, it's not right. I mean, we could do this all day long, and thank goodness we are. I love it. However, I
Still a lot more out there. And
Yeah.
the big concern we were having with the dry month of September and into October was some of these excessive vegetations were becoming very dry, and the way people throw things out windows, we were afraid.
Yeah,
Grass fires.
Grass fires.
Grass fires.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Bless you.
All right. Resolution 184, Mr. Luby.
Resolution 2019-184, resolution certifying violation abatement at 4954 Alverno Valley Court to the county auditor for assessment, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis. Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2019-185, resolution certifying violation abatement at 5374 Cleander Drive to the county auditor for assessment, declaring an emergency and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution? Is this not like the third time for this address?
Actually, we get to the point where we declare it, but this is the second time we've actually been able to abate it.
To abate it,
Usually
okay.
they will clean it up after the declaration, so we don't get to the assessment part. But
Okay, and this is the one that was over $1,000?
yes, 1,135.
All right, thank you.
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2019-186, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5289 Whitmore Drive, declaring it an emergency and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. DeLong?
Sure, I'll just cover the next 7
Okay.
that are on the agenda. So this is 186 through 192. These are all typically excessive vegetation. We do have a couple debris in there. 192 is a junk motor vehicle on a property, so there are actually 2 different declarations for Rockwell, which is 588 Rockwell. One is for debris and one is for a junk motor vehicle. All of these properties were still in the condition as you see in the photos. They'll be posted up on the screen as of this morning, so we do request you declare it a nuisance. But if you have any questions for me as we go through, let me know, please.
Okay.
Move to dispense with the second reading.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2019-187, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5326 Dell Hill Drive, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
Introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2019-188, resolution declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 564 Orchard View Lane, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
Introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense.
Excuse me, we have a question.
Difference between 179 and 188, isn't it the same address?
They're two different violations, aren't they?
I think
The abatement
one's
is
the,
one.
yeah, one's the, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
You'll see that I think on two different ones for 588 Rockwell, same type of thing.
Two on, no, well, there's two
There's
separate,
two separate
Yeah.
nuisances for 588 Rockwell. We are actually already had to abate 564 or Orchard View earlier this year, so we're just collecting the assessment from the first cleanup. We're back again. Yep.
Where were we?
Move to dispense with the second reading of the resolution, please.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
all those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2019-189, a resolution declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 588 Rockwell Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2019-190, resolution declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 5048 Delhi Pike, declaring an emergency and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Yes, I would like to
Mr.
make
DeLong?
a quick comment on this one. This is still people not following instructions of the Goodwill drop-off center not being there. This is actually behind the Vita dialysis, so we will remove the sofa and we are going to clean the entire fence line during the part of this process. So this is a commercial.
So the problem that we had at the Goodwill drop-off is just moved down the,
It's just moved
Down the pike.
a little bit to the east. It's still probably about 15, 20 feet east. So they're now tucking in behind the building. So,
okay.
yeah. But
Thank
this
you.
will clean the entire fence line also with the debris. As you can see, that's quite accumulated along there also. So
So it's not the owner of the property's responsibility?
it is the owner of the property, which is Brixmore.
Okay.
They own the Kroger Plaza. They own where DeVita Dialysis is and the former Arby's. And where, all the way over to the pet store, all of that. So.
When the signs were put back there on the side of Kroger's, who did Kroger's put them? or
No,
the owners?
Brixmore did that.
So they did it.
They did it.
So they, okay. Okay.
Welcome to the world of zoning.
Yeah, this is lovely,
And
yeah.
code enforcement.
Okay, move to dispense with the second reading of the resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading? Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2019-191, resolution declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 5321 Plum Ridge Drive, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2019-192, resolution providing for the removal of a junk motor vehicle at 588 Rockwell Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Seavey.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Sturts.
Yes.
Resolution passes. I have no public comments signed in here. Is there anything else? Mr. Cameron, did you have any public comments? Okay, good. All right, announcement of community events then, Mr. Luby.
Our Halloween community trick-or-treat will be Thursday, October 31st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Our Veterans Day ceremony, hosted by the Delhi Township Veterans Association, will be Sunday, November 10th from 1 to 2 p.m. It will be here at our Veterans Memorial Park at 934 Neeb Road. The Delhi Historical Society program, Greater Cincinnati's Veterans Memorials, will be Monday, November 11th at 7 p.m. That will be at the Delhi Park Lodge at 5125 Foley Road. The Delhi Sip and Shop Vendor Fair will be Friday, November 15th from 6:30 to 10 p.m. It will be at the Delhi Senior Community Center at 647 Neeb Road.
Thank you, Mr. Luby. There is no cause for executive session this evening, so if I could have a call for adjournment?
I will call for adjournment, please.
Second.
All those in favor? Yes. This meeting is now adjourned. I'd like to remind everyone to have a very safe and careful Halloween, which is tomorrow evening from 6 to 8. It's going to be cold, wet, and dark. So be careful out there. And our next regular scheduled meeting is Wednesday, November the 13th, here at 6 o'clock. We hope we see you then.